Hey everybody, Coach Dan here from the Run Experience. Today we were talking about hills, and I'm at my favorite hill right here behind me is Signal Hill. It's about 200 meters of elevation over about a kilometer and a bit, and it's my favorite place to do hill training. The reason I'm doing hill training today is that while I am a trail runner, there are times that even I give in to the urge to run a road race, and one of those road races that I do tend to run is called Cape to Cabot. It's 20 kilometers on the road here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, and over that 20 kilometers you get 525 meters of road elevation, and that's quite a lot. And it's got me thinking about strategy for that race. Last year I put in a pretty good time, but I felt like maybe I blew up a little early, and maybe I should have been thinking about my race strategy a little better. So I've done some work, I've done some thinking. I'm gonna break down today how you should think about pacing a hilly race. This will apply to you whether you run the trail or the road. Stick around. It is extremely easy to think about racing based on pace. So you have a goal for a half marathon. You figure out what your pace per mile needs to be, and then you run at that pace. That tends to work if you train properly and you're strong enough and you have a really good day. But the truth is, on big hilly races with tough courses with lots of hills, that pacing strategy doesn't work. And here's why. Because you try to keep that same pace as you go up the big hills, you're expending so much more effort on the uphills than you are on the downhills. And so you end up blowing up your legs on the uphills. You can't keep your form on the downhills. And the result is that before you're at the finish line, you have found a way to lose pace and miss your goal time. So I want to talk to you today about a different way about thinking about racing and pacing on big hilly courses. Here's what I want you to do. Think about perceived effort on the uphills. It's okay to slow down. What I want you to focus on instead is your form. Driving with your elbows, staying relaxed, focusing on keeping your heart rate as low as you can. Big, deep, conscious breaths, shoulders down, shorter strides, and enjoy the ups as much as you can. Now here's the problem. Our egos don't like it when people pass us. Mine certainly doesn't. But with this new hill strategy I have in mind, I've just got to accept it. I've got to let people pass me on the uphills. Why do I want to do that? Well, because on the downhills, I get to have some fun and I get to catch them. But here's why. The reason that I want to do this is that the expenditure of energy that you've got on these big uphills sometimes just doesn't balance out the amount of time you save. We've all been running at times when the hills are just so steep that it feels like we're standing still. If you're in that circumstance, using this perceived effort model, it is okay to walk it. Walk the hill if you have to. Look, I'm a trail runner. I run ultra marathons. We don't even like to say the word walk. We've invented a whole new word. It's called power hiking. It's just walking, man. Like sometimes it's okay to walk up the hills if running is so slow that that's the best thing to do. So, accept that walking a hill might be okay for you. But here's the reason that you've got to accept it, is that when you get to the top of the hill, that's when it's time to change how you're thinking. If you do this properly, the top of the hill shouldn't be a time that you're totally gassed out. The top of the hill should be a time that you can reset that form. Focus on longer strides on the downhill. Not overstriding, we don't want to be heel striking, but we do want to think about how quickly we can use the gravity and the fun of running downhill. It is one of my favorite things to do, and I highly recommend that you find the love of running downhill. The uphills can actually be really freeing if you stop pushing. If you just let yourself glide up the hills at an effort that's sustainable for you on the uphill. Now, the way to train for this is important, and there's a thing at the end that's a bit of a corollary here I want to keep in mind. But we've got some great videos on the site. Myself and Coach Holly did about uphill running, and I did one on my own on downhill running. We'll link to one of those at the end of this video. But here's the real secret about this. This strategy is only going to work if your legs are bomb-proof. You've got to focus on the muscles being big and strong and tough. The eccentric contractions, the force of a downhill run, can be really tough, especially on your quads. But don't worry, we've got you covered. Check out our Run Experience, the Daily Run app. It is going to tell you everything you need to know with follow-along strength workouts as part of all of our plans to get your legs strong enough that you can run those downs in a way that's going to really work for you. You know, if you're a trail runner, you don't have a choice but to love the hills. Most of what we do is either up or down. And this race I've got coming up, the Cape to Cabot, everything is either up or down. There's almost nothing flat, and the hills are really extreme. So I've had to really learn to love hill running. I like to think of going up the hills as gliding, glide up the hills, push down the hills. That's where you can make up the time with far less energy expenditure. So learn to love them. Glide up, push down, and enjoy your time running. I'm about to do a few repeats of Signal Hill behind me. It's a glorious day here in Newfoundland and Labrador. The humpback whales are in Cuckles Cove right beneath me. It's going to be a great day.